for gossip and entertainment only. Let's get started.
Hello, gossipers. So we have breaking news. We're going to talk Halle Bailey and DDG. Now, DDG has filed an emergency motion to stop Halle Bailey from taking their infant son out of the country, claiming she poses an imminent emotional and psychological risk to the child. So things are heating up. This is so sad. It's sad in the sense that, these two, especially Halle, she gives this sweetheart image, this Disney kid, and we don't know what these people are like behind the scene. In order to be a celebrity and to be liked by the public for your growth in the industry, you have to put out this persona that you're such a nice person, you don't do any wrong, you're just perfect in social media, in your fans' eyesight. But behind closed door, you could be a devil, right? So with Halle Bailey, I don't know what she is like. The only thing I can say is what I've seen, and it seems like she's a nice person. But then again, behind closed doors, you don't know. It's like with Keke Palmer, when she was going through what she was going through with her baby daddy, and then they released tapes of, Keke, especially her mother. You see what they're like behind closed door, but because to keep themselves relevant, to stay in the public eye, they have to, I'm doing quote unquote, act like they're this good person. And in all actuality, they're human beings. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to say stuff. But then court of public opinion, they can bring your career to a screeching halt if they don't like your image, or if your image is not that of this good girl and not the bad girl, which you can be behind closed doors. Just don't let it resurface. Just don't let the public see that really you're just a mean, dirty person. Which people in the entertainment world, to me, like, they're actors. They're always acting. And that's why, for me personally, if I was an actress, or say actor was interested, I don't know if I could date someone who knows how to play the role of being sad, of being angry, of being deceitful, right? So it's kind of strange when you have two actors together, just like with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, when they were going back and forth with their court. You're looking at them and you're like, who's acting here? Because everything that they're saying and the way they're performing in the courtroom, it's stuff that we see them work on acting when you're watching movies. So right there is like, if you're a regular person married to an actor, you're gonna have to learn early how to differentiate from this person being truthful, or are they just acting. So when people like Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, they go together, you're like, damn, I wonder when they're arguing behind closed door, who's really winning. How can they tell if someone is acting or not? And I'm sure when they're having arguments, like actors on actors, you're like, oh, you're just playing the part. You're acting right now. I can tell you're not serious. So, yeah, so back to the story of the moment. So it says that DDG has filed. We're going to continue with the reading. The rapper filed the documents Wednesday morning asking for an emergency hearing because he says has made plans to fly with their son Halo to Italy on Saturday, which to me, Halle, a couple weeks ago or a month ago, she filed for a restraining order that she was abused by DDG, and it was granted. And I think it was also granted that she could take Halo with her to Italy, because she's going to Italy to start filming a movie. So I'm thinking she already has permission to fly with him. And what I don't like about this is he's not violent towards the child. And why is it she can go to Italy for, I think, 2 months to do a movie, but yet still, the child. What am I trying to say? I guess if he needs to see the child, then he has to go to Italy, right? Because yes, I could have sworn she was already granted, um, granted permission to leave with the child. And even in situations like that, why would you want the court to step into your problems? Why can't you be grown-ups? You're grown up to make kids. Why can't you just be a grown-up, sit aside and like, look, we're gonna do this, that? Because once your name and your kids get into the court system, and especially going back and forth with all these allegations, then these are people who are gonna be making decisions for you and your child, and not you and your the child's parent. So let's continue with the reading. DDG provides examples of alleged conduct he thinks is troubling, claiming Halle once took his GUN and left the house without telling him where she was going. DDG alleges he ultimately found her outside just holding the weapon. He said she was pregnant when the incident went down. Ugh. He alleges Halle once tried to have an abortion behind his back, but says she ultimately changed her mind and decided not to go through with it. Oh my gosh, you're putting that out. It's like with Kanye and Kim. Now you have Halle and DDG. My Lord. On another occasion, 2 months after Halo was born, DDG claims Halle sent a series of alarming text messages threatening to off herself and suggesting that their infant son Halo might also be armed. Oh my gosh. As you know, Bailey has accused DDG of abusive behavior in the past, including once where she alleged he slammed her face into a steering wheel and chipped her tooth. DDG tells a different version of events, claiming he came to pick up Halo for his custodial time with his son, but Halle jumped into his backseat when he did, demanding they come up with a formal co-parenting schedule. DDD alleges she became increasingly agitated and started jumping from the back seat to hit him, and her momentum carried her forward and she smacked her head on the steering wheel. In fact, DDG said he was actually on the receiving end of abuse by Halle, including photos of a large cut on his hands in the docks, which he says Bailey caused. So I'm going to show you the photo. DDG is asking the judge to block Halle from taking Halo to Italy. He also wants sole legal and physical custody of their son, or if he's not granted sole custody, then he wants all custodial exchanges facilitated by a third party. We've reached out to Halle so far, no word back. So yes, with this back and forth, yes, it's best if they have a third party, or you do the transport like a lot of couples do at the police station, right? So you're surrounded by law enforcement right there. Or again, you have a judge who assigns a mediator where you can work together, or yes, something where if you don't want to see that person, then you give permission to your mom or your cousin or someone who they will be comfortable taking, Halo. So this is sad. This is very, very sad. It's just sad to see that they're to this point where they can't even come to an agreement for their child. And like I said, people, you don't know what these celebrities are behind closed door. That's when I see celebrities and I hear people praising them, just like when they're talking about Queen Beyonce. I know not everybody sees her that way, but most people do, and that just, I don't like it. I don't call Beyonce any Queen Bee or Queen Beyonce, and you need to uplift this person, uplift that person. If a woman says it happens, then it has to be true without it being proven. It's just sad that we're living in this time of whatever it is. Anyways, so Halle Bailey, she went to court to deny his request. So I'm reading the article from TMZ. So TMZ at 2:23 p.m. said Halle Bailey has filed to deny DDG's request and instead grant her permission to take their son out of the country so she can work. Halle's also requesting orders to stop DDG and his family and friends to stop posting about their son. This litigation and Halle on all platform. So she is like, we're going to keep it behind closed door. We don't want anybody to know what's going on. It's a private matter. But when the baby was born, I think for the first couple months, they kept him private. They didn't want to go there, but then they started posting the baby. DDG, he was accused of using Halo to get more views and clicks and stuff like that. And same with Halle. Because, when it comes to babies, people want to see the baby and who does the baby look like. They should have just stick with that routine of not showing your kids, to anyone, and maybe we would not be going through this problem, because it's not until they started showing the baby. Now, they were having problems behind closed door. We didn't know about that, but with the baby coming and then showing the baby to the world and having social media now into your conversation, and some of these social media people or celebrities or what, they go and they read comments. And I think some of the comments they read kind of influence them in certain ways, or they try to put stories out there to get clicks and people to feel sorry for them. It's like, again, we don't know these people. Behind closed doors, they can be the devil, but in front of your face, they have to put that on, because that's how they stay relevant. That's how people keep supporting, because no one wants to support anybody who's a badass, who's rude, who is just a bad behavior person. Nobody wants to support someone like that. They might do it behind closed door, but not in public. Not in public like that. So it goes on to say, Halle also points out that DDG waited until today, June 4th, to file a request to block her from traveling and ask for new custody orders, when he and his attorneys have ignored all her efforts for him to have monitored visits with their sons since the issuance of the TRO on May 13th, 2025. I keep forgetting that we're in June. So basically, Halle was like, you can see your son, it just has to be monitored. Now, when she goes to Italy, I'm wondering, would DDG have to pay to Italy and go see the son? Or because Halle wants to take him out of the U.S. from his father, then she should be responsible for paying for DDG to fly to Italy to see their son. Because she is the one who went for the court order to say, I want to take him out of the country. So DDG could have been like, look, I don't want him to go. I do want to see my son. And since she's the one taking him, then she needs to pay for me to see my son. Because if anything else, my son could stay here, because this is where he was born. I'm a parent. And like I said, we haven't heard anything from DDG being abusive to his son. And, we know that mothers, they always get what they want. But I think the tides are kind of shifting in that sense where, fathers are now seen as responsible, dedicated, loving parents. And, if any father is like that, then they need to be applauded. Fathers who really and truly wants to take care of their kids, and not just because it's a woman and it's mom, then they should automatically always, get everything their way. So there's also some text messages that are going viral with oh my gosh, with DDJ releasing with Halle Bailey saying stuff like she wants to off herself and that he was cheating, and he's telling her, you know what, I can't take this anymore. So it looks like they're both jealous of each other if they carry on with someone else. That's what it's given to me. So I'm going to see if I can find some of those texts and I'll post it so you can just see how depressing or diabolical this is. I think Kiki Palmer learned, and that's why we're not seeing her much anymore with her son and Darius's dad. So she kind of learned to see that at one moment the people who praise Kiki Palmer and oh Kiki actually saw what they are like behind closed door, and that's not what the image they want out there. So all these, hopefully they work something out. So, gossipers, here are some of the alleged texts that she sent. She said, I hate you. You're the most horrible person I've ever met. I wish I didn't have to fight with you, but you continue to let me down every time. And then it goes on to, this is proof you leave me hanging as a mother. You don't set up when I need you to. I just found out, she looks like she was upset when she's writing these, because I can't even read them properly because some of the words are misspelled, and she's angry. And this came up with ear tags, Apple ear tags. So this is a statement from his mom. It looks like Halle, used to track him using ear tags, and that's what the mother is testifying to. And I guess this is a copy of what the ear tag looks like. So yeah. So those are some of the text messages that he also filed with the complaint. So, gossipers, what are your thoughts on this story? I mean, I don't get it. What I don't understand is that these were people, okay, they're young. They're very young, so they had time. She was a Disney princess, getting ready to release a Little Mermaid, and then she got pregnant. But besides from that, just in general with any couple that's in love, how do you fall in love only to end with such hatred towards that one person you loved so much? You know what I'm saying? Any age, it doesn't matter. When I'm speaking about it, I'm just about it in the sense that you were in love and then you went your separate ways, not peacefully. There's something happened where you just fell out of love with this person, and now the hatred, which is a word I don't like to use, develop for this person, especially if it's a relationship where kids are involved. To see that the kids were made when you were happy, lovey-dovey. Oh, we're going to have a baby. We're going to have our family. I love you so much. You're the best thing. To now, it's controlling. He was really abusive. She wasn't abusive, but that's what she pretends. But she did this to me, did that to me. And you see where he posts the slash on his hands, right? And it's like she posted that she had a broken tooth or a chipped tooth, and he smashed her head against the steering wheel. But then he's saying she was in the back seat, basically lunging forward to him, and she hit her head on the steering wheel. So we're just gonna keep you updated with this story. It's sad. It's sad that it's gotten to this point where now a couple, especially her, because she's more known than DDG, her career might just take a step back until all this is sought out. Now, she's leaving Saturday to Italy, I think, for 2 months to do a movie. What kind of attention is this now going to bring to the movie? And with situations like this, it's sad that when you have to do interviews and press and media, you're going to have to tell these people, don't ask me about my personal life. That's none of your business. Even though they took it to public opinion, they're going to say, I don't want to talk about it. And it's sad that, you work so hard for the career that you have only because of, selfishness and cannot get together and I want this, you want this, we don't want this together, so I'm right, you're wrong. Just gonna put a damper on a career that was growing. So, anyways, gossipers, what are your thoughts? And as always, please like, share, and subscribe.